Our next panel, Building the Biotechnology Workforce of the Future, will be moderated by Dr. India Hook-Barnard, Executive Director of the Engineering Biology Research Consortium. Please welcome our speakers, Dr. Angela Belcher, Commissioner on the NSCEB, Dr. Natalie Kuldell, Executive Director of BioBuilder, and Representative Chrissy Houlahan.
Thank you all. I am really thrilled and just delighted to be joined on this panel with this terrific group of women to talk about the workforce of the future. And as we've heard, and as it really is highlighted in the report, and we all know, America's real strength is our people and our ability to both grow and develop our workforce and our talent, and also to recruit and retain that talent internationally. And that something that's really important in terms of the development and the rapid opportunities that are developing with biotech is to be able to develop those jobs and opportunities across America and across all the different sectors that's available. We've heard that perhaps we're falling behind internationally in terms of global competition, or we want to make sure that we don't fall behind, and particularly with China. And so we really want to talk about the importance of, again, growing and retaining and recruiting our workforce. So I will turn on to my panelists and ask, in this really rapidly changing area, there's so much excitement and opportunity and things that are developing rapidly in biotech, but also in AI and in automation. And so can you speak a little bit about what you see as these new opportunities? What are the new roles or the skills that are going to be needed for this future workforce? Congresswoman?
Thank you, and thank you all for being here today at a really exciting moment in our history, I hope, and our attention to this really important subject area. What I would say in terms of the future workforce is it's not that much different than any other challenging time in our history where we, as Americans, I think, excel. We excel at being all things, the Swiss Army knife, the jack of all trades, the Renaissance person. And so while biotechnology and AI and those sorts of things are certainly the buzzwords, the skill sets, in addition to sort of the hard sciences and STEM and STEAM, are somewhat some of the same things we've been very good at before. Manufacturing technology, manufacturing excellence is still forefront. The kind of flexibility of being able to reinvent yourself is still at the forefront. And so I think from a workforce perspective, we still need the basic skills that we've always needed. And we'll talk about it, I'm certain, later on, literacy, numeracy, those kinds of things. But added on top of that is, of course, this modernization of biology and AI and those sorts of emerging concepts.
Thank you. Natalie?
I guess I completely agree. We are building on a lot of strength in terms of skill sets that exist throughout the country already. I think ensuring that the next generation of innovators, scientists, skilled workforce knows that they have a place in this field, in this emerging field, that they feel welcomed and that their education can serve them well, whether they are coming in as a skilled manufacturing training person or whether they want to be a senior scientist, that there are points of entry for all. Yeah.
And Andy, do you want to add?
Well, I think my colleagues did a great job of talking about the state of where things are and where we're going. I've been in education since I'm 19 years old, and there's such a joy in teaching and sharing just the amazing abilities of biology. And in thinking about biotechnology and the workforce of the future, it's not like a single path. There's so many ways of getting there. There's so many kinds of skills. And if a young person was going to ask me today, what kind of skills do I need in the future? I would say a strong STEM background is great. And if you think about, we all know biology. Think about biology. Biology isn't just biology, it's also chemistry and physics and math and coding. And there's so much of that coming together right now in an exciting way. And someone can be an expert in the AI aspect of it, but integrate in the biology, or be an expert in chemical engineering and scale and manufacturing, and bring something really important to this amazing emerging field. And so I think that I agree that everyone is welcome. There's a place for everyone. So I think that, but it's the flexibility that's important, because things are changing so rapidly, and it's not changing rapidly on a 5-year scale. It's changing rapidly on a 6-month or a 1-year time scale. But there's still the real need to have kind of a protocol or a way of making sure that people are reaching certain kinds of skills that can go into industry in different areas. And so I think that's going to be important too, kind of benchmarking it, coming up with a set of skills that people can get and can acquire, and then move anywhere around the country and make an impact in the field and in the discipline.
Thank you. So we've heard a bit today and in the earlier panels about the importance of bioliteracy and what that might mean, and the importance of that as we develop the biotechnologies of the future. And the idea that this is not just something for academics or school or training, but that it is going to be important throughout your life, and as a professional, as a student, as policymakers, all of us as citizens. And so maybe I will start at the other end with you, Angie.
In terms of bioliteracy?
And what does bioliteracy mean to you, and what is it that's important in being able to do that?
So I think that, I think bioliteracy and STEM literacy in general is incredibly important in almost everything that we do. My passion is really K through 5 education. Yeah. I took the first year curriculum at MIT and I backed it to kindergarten and built it back up, kindergarten, first grade, second grade. So students were understanding starting to understand and see how important biology and chemistry and physics were from the time they were in kindergarten and first grade and second grade, and just building upon that. So I think it's in our K through 12 education system that, and my colleague Natalie is an expert in that. I think that is really important, but I also think that it's in policy, it's in government, having people that are making decisions in the military, in government policy, understand what biology can do. What is the tool set, and how much a difference it can make in our lives, and how much a difference it's going to make in every aspect of our life, not just therapeutics and pharmaceuticals, but in clean manufacturing and environmental remediation and the clothes that we wear. When people understand that the power of biology is so powerful, understanding the power of biology will help us move the field forward.
And actually, I want to sneak in a follow-up on that one too. I know there's the recommendations in the report around the national park project,
okay.
And I was wondering if you could comment on that and what that might mean in this idea of bioliteracy.
Secretly, that's my favorite recommendation. So we have a recommendation that's around the national parks, and I love this for many reasons. One of the reasons I love it is that the national parks belong to all of us. It is our land, it's the people's land, and it's so rich in biodiversity and resources. And part of what really other important recommendations we have in the report are around maintaining our own data. It's like the data in the United States should be a national resource for us to use here. And this recommendation is that, okay, we have access to this land, we have access to this biodiversity. Let's take that data and let's use it let's collect it. Let's have that data available for us, for the people, where we can discover new things, new enzymes, new organisms that can make an impact in biomanufacturing and in therapeutics and in the world. Now, here's the thing, because if it's all our land and if it's all our organisms and our data, let's have every child across the country have the ability to contribute. And what if elementary schools or clubs, if they adopted an organism for the national park. This is my bacteria, this is my, my mammal, my fish. And they learned actually how to read the DNA sequence. They learned what the proteins were and had a part in the data that is building our future on a day-to-day basis. So I think that, to me, that I can barely sleep. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, I just keep thinking about when I was a Girl Scout, what would we have done with this kind of program? So that's
Yeah, you have a little badge. This is my bacteria.
Exactly.
This is, yeah.
So in terms of bioliteracy, Natalie, what does that mean to you, and how are you thinking about that and the needs for sharing bioliteracy across the country?
Yeah, I guess I'll back up and just say that I really am optimistic. I think I'm optimistic because all of my interactions with this next generation tell me that they really have an urgency to do good things in the world, and they want, and many realize that science is the way to do it. And so we can tap into that desire to do good things for the planet, for health, for their community, to draw more people into science. And I think projects are an amazing way to do that, to give students tools that allow them to solve a challenge that's personally meaningful to them, will draw them into science, and it will be a lasting impact for them, for their community, and for their family, their future goals. I think we, just doing the math, I think we also need to appreciate that there are a lot of jobs that people would very much like in science, but they are not interested in doing the long road that it takes to be a senior scientist and a researcher. And so I think that we do our communities a disservice when we present science as something that is only for the elite, and that is only for the people who are willing to dedicate many, many more years of education post secondary school. We have a really amazing secondary school system in this country. We have 90% of our citizens going to and graduating from high schools, but we only have 4 out of 10 who go on to get a bachelor's degree or higher. We can't leave 6 out of 10 behind in science. We just can't, right? So, yeah. I'll go back to the idea that was mentioned earlier that it would be amazing if we could look at cells as a, what was it called, a general product technology, right? If we're a pretty science literate group in here, but if you closed your eyes and imagined a cell, you all probably have pretty much the same image of a cell in your head, the one that came from the textbook that has the nucleus and the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, right? This is how we're teaching science. We're teaching science as a collection of facts to be memorized, and we do it a tremendous disservice. So engaging people in projects in community areas that matter to them. We have a really incredible proof point in rural Tennessee, in Appalachia, and you'll hear from it from the East Tennessee State University Research Corporation. They came to us for novel education content for their high school, and every dollar that came into the nonprofit for that novel educational material has spurred $100 of economic prosperity in the region, and they now have state government factoring in this into their research plans, and local university putting undergraduate majors in. What's super interesting is that they already had a lot of capacity, and so literacy is also connecting what we know to what we want to do. And Tennessee has a great history of fermentation and distillation. That is really getting them very far down the road in bioprocessing, right? So, and that's true across the country. There are natural strengths in all of the regions. And so I think connecting it to what is local, connecting it to what is personally meaningful, using our secondary school education system to enable individuals to go off into the world and do good things. That would be my dream.
Yeah. And of course, bioliteracy is extremely important for policymakers, and I know that you're thinking about this a lot in terms of your colleagues.
So it's hard not to be enthusiastic and to embrace all of the energy that's coming from you guys. You're contagious. I used to be a high school chemistry teacher myself, and learned that literacy starts with actual literacy, so STEM and STEAM education cannot happen unless we can read. And so making sure that we can read, that we have basic numeracy skills, and that not everybody needs to go to a four-year college or graduate school to do that. But I will also say, I have so much to say about all of this. Yes, on project-based learning, no on sit down and shut up and let me tell you what you need to know, and here's the periodic table, and you know, everybody memorize it together, that kind of thing. But what I think I have to contribute to this conversation is we have a real problem in places like Washington, D.C. There are 435 members of Congress. Fewer than 24 of them have STEM backgrounds. And the fact that we're being asked every single day to think about biotechnology, AI, any number of emerging sciences and technologies, and legislate and create policies on that is obscene. It's absolutely obscene. And so we have a lot of work to do to educate my fellow colleagues to make sure that they understand, and that goes for their teams and their staffs too. And so please, I would ask this audience to recognize that we can't know everything about everything, and so please come to our offices and talk to us about the things that you know about so that we can be helpful and effective quickly in this area. And I guess that's the thing that most concerns me. We all have in common that we're MIT types. In the green room, you were asking me what course number I am. That's the way of MIT talk, of saying like, what kind of degree do you have? Mine's in something that doesn't have a number. It's TPP, it's Technology and Policy Program, which is the intersection of technology and policy, which is what a lot of us also need to be able to do, is bridge those concepts, technical concepts, with the real world.
So we've heard a little bit about maybe even different approaches or new programs in terms of training and teaching and exposing people to opportunities in biotech. Can you say a little bit more about that? That maybe that our traditional academic approaches in training and learning there's an increasing kind of disconnect between that and maybe the skills and the areas that we need. And so I don't know if maybe Natalie, if you want to share a little bit more about what you're doing with BioBuilder.
Sure, yeah, I can start. I'll reiterate something that I heard this morning, which is that you don't get extra points for taking a lot of risk, and that is especially true in education. Bless you. I think that there are, I think that if you asked people to say how effective they think their biology class is in their high school, maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, you might get a 4 or a 5. Some people love it, and I don't mean to dismiss it. There are some really great programs, but in general, you're not going to get really high marks. But it will not be enough to have something really innovative and something that would be a 8 or a 9 or a 10 on that scale of 1 to 10 if it doesn't get adopted. And so incentivizing adoption, incentivizing a way to do something different, because to continue to do the same things in education and expect a different outcome is going to be really, really fruitless, I think. So offering skills-based learning, let people who like to work with their hands learn how to be part of bio and biotech, and the numbers will support that, right? We don't need everybody up at the senior science level. We need a lot of really smart people there, but we need a lot of people. High schools have a lot of people, and we need to attract more of them through tapping into things that that they feel they're right for, making high school a meaningful experience for the students, that they find a place, a purpose, and a direction there.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit already about the skills-based learning and project-based learning. I think that's important. My understanding is there's been a movement in trying to do physics first and kind of reverse the order that people take their science classes in, so that you kind of culminate into biology, and that it's sort of physics and chemistry are the building blocks in many ways of biology. And I think that that's an interesting and clever way of kind of creating a difference in education. I will also say, though, that I think some of our skill sets that we're giving our kids in schools aren't necessarily helping our modern workforce. Statistical and mathematical modeling is not something that is necessarily included in most K through 12 curriculum. It needs to be, and we actually just passed, if you can believe it, something passed in Washington, D.C., the House of Representatives, a piece of legislation that is allowing for grants for this exploration of more statistical and mathematical curriculum. So please, if you have the opportunity to encourage your senators to take that up, if you remember your Schoolhouse Rock, you got to do it both ways, and then the president signs it for the law. So we have a lot of work to do in this area.
And I don't know if, Angie, you want to build on that, or I can also just add if there's, as this is developing with biotech and really expands, and we have some unmet needs in terms of job opportunities already. What is it that you think, what is it that people should really be thinking about in terms of biotech as an exciting reason that they would want to pursue a job in this area? And then maybe conversely, what is it that might be challenges or barriers to that? And do you have any strategies or thoughts or things from the report to address
there's
that?
a lot there. So I think that, why be in some form of biotechnology right now? And I mentioned before, I've been teaching for almost 30 years at the undergraduate level. And what I find is over the years, it's become more and more clear that the young people today want to make an impact in the world. And they're interested in how to make an impact in people's lives, how to make an impact in the planet. And biotechnology can fill that in so many ways. And so, as I mentioned before, it's not necessarily, I'm a professor in biological engineering. We taught together for 10 years. We invented the course with Drew Indy and I, the three of us, worked on teaching undergraduate sophomore translation in biological engineering. It was a blast. So I think that so many people want to make an impact in the world. And so it's not, you don't have to be just a biological engineer or a biologist. There are so many ways that you can make an impact. And so first of all, the field, we welcome you to the field. It's an exciting place to be. It's going to be an exciting place to be for at least, decades. The skill set is going to change. It's never going to be boring. I don't think it's ever going to be boring. So there's the potential to learn. As Natalie was mentioning before, that I sit on the board of my local vocational technical high school, and we have a biotechnology program there. And they're learning the hands-on skills from the time that they're a first-year high school student and then a second year, and then they're going out into industry and doing internships. So for people that have labs and people that have companies, take those high school interns into your lab for a term and for a summer. Because they're there, they want to learn the skills and they want to make a difference. The same with two-year colleges and community colleges, the ability to get two-year degrees that could go directly into biotechnology and biomanufacturing. The last two talks we heard both gave great examples of in their local government and their local cities, the ability to get hands-on experience to train in biomanufacturing. Now's the time, and I think it's an exciting opportunity with a chance to grow, but most importantly, it's a chance to make a difference in the world.
So in the case of, there's a lot of motivation for companies to help train and prepare the workforce, and a lot happening or opportunities in academia. But what is it that government should be doing and can be doing to really help stimulate and grow that biotech workforce of the future? And really whether funding or incentives or
all those things. We need to move and move fast, and that's why this timing of this meeting and this report are so critical. We've seen what happens with our country when we look the other way for too long and we let other nations take the lead in something. Right now, we are on a really important path if we work hard to not lose track of things that we've lost track of before. As an example, chip manufacturing, we've now had to struggle to bring back, to this country. AI, you can argue, where we are in terms of our competitiveness, but we learn the hard way over and over and over again, and this is our opportunity not to lose this race and to move forward and out with expediency. Also importantly, I think the way to people's hearts, which sounds weird, is through common language, common vernacular, and what I would emphasize for you who are in the audience is independent of whether you're a Democrat or Republican, and that's what this town is unfortunately divided against one another, national security will resonate with everyone. And so if we talk about this as an issue of national security, and then its implications to education, the workforce, to individuals, and those kinds of things, that kind of language seriously resonates with everyone. So I would ask you guys to help me help us to push the work of this commission forward, and to tell your elected representatives how important it is to have this word in your mouth now and not 20 years from now.
Yeah,
I was just going to mention that going back to the report, we have specific recommendations for support through the National Science Foundation, which does a fantastic job in education in this country, for helping students get into the workforce and workforce training in biotechnology. In addition, we are very interested in having more maker spaces in public places where people can go and learn the hands-on skills. And I think that we also have recommendations in there for increasing the bioliteracy in the government workforce.
And so one of the other key areas in the report that's pointed out is the importance of the federal agencies and the federal workforce as well in being bioliterate. And so are there ways, and this is, it's not just doing the research or supporting or funding the research, it's also the regulatory safety. We've heard a lot about the importance of NIST. And for policymakers, so what is it that how can we really develop that workforce and make sure that we have the people and the expertise within our federal workforce to really help make this happen?
We can stop firing people. And now you know what I am. If you didn't already know, I'm a Democrat. And also, just as importantly, seriously, if we're going to reorder, and I do believe that there's certainly benefits to being more lean and also to being more savvy with our taxpayer dollars, I think that the way to do that is not to take the bottom people, the ones who've just arrived out of an organization, because they come with the skills we most need, and they come, with the opportunities to be able to continue to develop this great nation of ours.
And just as we're getting close to time, I also want to add maybe a layer to that question about the importance, and it calls out in the report, of also the conversations and communication between the security community and biotech, and the importance that across federal agencies that our workforce is also understand as it is connected to the security implications of this and that competitiveness with China as well, for instance. And so I don't know if you want to add or speak to that a little bit.
I serve on the Armed Services Committee as well as the Intelligence Committee. I'm a veteran as well, and so this is, I think, again, a way to make sure that people understand the importance of this, and it is also a way for us to make sure that we drive the funding of these issues. And it is actually also the truth that the future is in biology, and the possibilities are endless for the good of people. But we also need to make sure that we're pursuing it with the ethics that we all know are the important things, and responsibly. And so I think that it's important to make sure that we're talking about security when we're talking about biology.
So I think we're at time, but if we have, Angie, if you wanted to add anything or key message there?
That was a perfect comment, and it wraps up what we talk about in the report, which is making sure that people with biotechnology backgrounds have the security clearance and background to help make the most important decisions for the country.
Thank you. Well, our time has flown by, and I just want to ask everybody to join me in thanking our panelists. Thank you.